Man to man, combat hand to hand, hands locked, ready for the last stand, elbow drops, kicks fade bang. If I can hate you, levitate, better settle mate, lights out, knocked out by the heavyweight.
It's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today here with Mr. Navajo Stirling. How you say Rongho Nutinho Navajo Hunter Stirling from Alderoa.
Yeah.
Mate, welcome, man. Maybe you repeat it. Let's hear the proper name out of your mouth, because I'm sure I murdered it.
Yeah, I have a Māori first name, which is Rongo Tehinia. It's pretty hard to pronounce, so I just go by Navajo or Nav. Like all the boys just call me Nav. So, yeah.
Actually, man, I was wondering that because there's not a lot of stuff about you online at the moment, man. And I was looking to see if you had any fight name. Do you have a fight name, man? I couldn't find it anywhere.
Nah, no fight name. I was just kind of waiting for, I don't know, the crowd or the people to give me one. I didn't want to name myself. I was like a bit corny, but yeah, I thought I'd just wait and just let it all kind of come about. But yeah.
Yeah, that's usually the way, right? Usually something comes up from your trainer or something, and that comes in. You're from Wellington, man, right?
Yeah, Wellington. So
Wellington.
Yeah, not originally from Auckland, but yeah, I'm hoping to kind of base my future out of Auckland, you know, for the next couple of years. So, yeah.
Cool. All right, man. So you just you mentioned you just been doing some sparring today. Can you talk a bit about where you're at with your training at the moment, man? What's your sort of like weekly schedule, daily schedule? What do you get up to as a pro fighter, man?
Well, we've all kind of been on like standby, you know, because of the whole COVID thing going on. But yeah, no, everyone's just getting back into it now. Yeah, everyone's hungry, you know. All the MMA boys, man, they all just want to get into it, and yeah. It's all kind of just kicked off for the past few weeks, and yeah, fucking we're all back in.
So what do you normally do on a daily basis, bro? Do you break up your day? Do you train once a day, 6 times a week? You train twice a day? What do you get up to, man?
Yeah, well, before lockdown, I was just kind of working part-time and trying to get to all the morning MMA trainings, because that's when it's all on. It's like 10 a.m. MMA. Those are the must goes, you know, that's where everyone goes. And then you got all your wrestling, jiu-jitsu in the evening. And then sometimes I'm just doing a course at the moment for like PT. So I just do that like midday. Then usually back in the afternoon for like jiu-jitsu and wrestling. But it's like nothing different to like, you know, your every other MMA guys training. I mean, it's all the same stuff, you know, everyone's just getting their rounds in and all that, and all the aspects, and kind of putting it together. Like I'm still kind of new to it all, so it's just combining like the MMA aspect to all of my training. It's all like new, because before I was training at like not at like an MMA gym, but going and trying to piece it all together myself. But you know, being there and having like the know-how and all these veterans around to show you, it helps heaps.
Yeah, man. And your experience obviously is basically mostly in stand-up fighting, right? So
yeah.
How long have you actually been training in the grappling arts or together as an MMA fighter?
I'd probably say 2.5 years now. I was doing mainly jiu-jitsu for about 2 years, and just did a few like no-gi competitions and all of that, and did pretty well in those. And a little bit of like straight wrestling, but not too much. And then yeah, just this year alone, like all MMA. So yeah, probably 2.5 going on 3 years now.
Yeah, awesome, man. And you just mentioned about the BJJ comps, man. You mentioned in one of your interviews that it was a whole different feeling, right? You're used to that full intensity of you know, stand-up competition, and you cruise in. It's a different feeling, right? And they also bring a different intensity, right? Like when they're actually competing. So someone like you who's got some stand-up experience comes in a bit more focused, maybe a little bit more experienced in a way for competition, right?
Yeah, or like I've always been competitive, and like, you know, I'm so used to the fight aspect now. It's like it's you know, it's do or die in there and all of that. And like when you're in the ring looking at someone across from you, and just like coming in with like your body language and that alone, like I noticed it just like crushed people's confidence as soon as they had like seen me like getting ready, you know. And I'm like, oh, the match hasn't even started and they've already looked like they're ready to give up. I think it's just like a different crowd, or like energy or something. They just don't have it. But yeah, I just went out there and crushed everyone. It was only a white belt competition, but like for me, I was like, there was some like, big guys, big athletic looking guys too. And yeah, I'd only been doing like about 6 months training, and then I was like, oh, this was easy, like, but yeah, moving on to like the higher competitions that are a little bit more skillful and a bit more competitive, But,
Yeah, man. How do you feel like the difference between going into something where you're going to get punched in the head and kicked versus going into something where you're going to get grappled, you may get submitted, you may get some sort of joint lock. I mean, you could potentially get a break or something or whatever, but what's the differences for you?
Oh, I'm not too sure. Like, I think like it's like disappointment, like if you get submitted, like, like I know I can beat this guy and all of that. And I've never been submitted in competition for like jiu-jitsu or anything, but it would suck, it would suck because it just happens so quick, and then even like you see like the top UFC fights and they end quick, they just look so gutted. It's kind of like a quick cheat, like let me just get this guy out of here in like a quick minute, save my energy, it looks like disappointing to get submitted,
Yeah, man. Do you feel it's as intense, man? Like, facing off against someone in a comp that's about grappling versus standing in the king in the ring, as an example, facing a 100-kilo dude versus a 100-kilo grappler? Do you feel more intense in one or the other, or similar?
Definitely the ring, because it's you're gonna get knocked out, like, and it's like in front of people, like, like a lot of people aren't really watching the matches. There's just so many matches going on around, like no one's really like picking who to watch. But like the ring, like everyone showed up to watch you, and then because like if you go on King of the Ring or any sort of televised show, you're looking at it like, whoa, who are these guys, and getting live dropped or losing would suck. So I think it's more intense there. Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, man. How is the grappling training going, man? I mean, you mentioned that working with CKB, there's a lot of good people training there. It's a nice big group. That's one of the strengths, right? And then you said you're getting destroyed every day at some point with probably with the grappling, right? Trying to catch up that side. So you're getting submitted obviously in training and that. Like, how's it all going? You feeling those? You mentioned those little improvements, right? Like you're getting little improvements day to day. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like everything I learned in jiu-jitsu just didn't work. So it's like I'm like gotta take a little bit of principle away from it and kind of apply it. But there's just like all the guys, they just know they teach you it all, and then they know what you're gonna do, so they stuff it immediately, and I'm just like, But against all the other young guys, I can kind of put it together myself. The guys at my level, but yeah, definitely all the vets, they're so good at like getting up. Everyone's so good at defending takedowns and getting up. Like they know what they're doing. So for me, it's so hard to like control them and then get out of position because you get consolidated so easily. But it's good there. It's like 1% less. For me, every day, like I'm feeling like I'm getting a whole lot better. So no, it's good.
That's good, man. Very kind of different, whole different feeling, right? From going from stand up to ground, man. It's such a different skill set to learn, man. It's a slow skill set to learn as well. I think you got to put in the hours, right?
Yeah, you do. No, most definitely. You got to put in the hours because like you see the guys that come and go, So I'm just trying to get there every day as much as I can, and put in the time because it's all gonna like add up in the end.
And how do you think your stand-up style translates to MMA? Because there's different styles that work better than others when it comes to MMA, right?
Yeah. Well, I was never one to like kind of hide behind the gloves, in kickboxing and walk forward. I like to get my range going. Like I've never really had to put my face on the line to close the gap or anything because I've always been taller. so yeah, I find with the MMA striking is come over is easy. Like for me, it's like they don't have the gloves to hide behind, so I'm just like I can hit in the guard, around the guard, and just set everything up. It's just so much easier. The striking, the distance is a bit longer, and they change levels a lot to get the takedown. But I think because like knowing my footwork and knowing the timing of when they're trying to hit those takedowns is pretty easy to defend. Like get the initial sprawl for me, but it's the chain wrestling, it's pretty hard. So yeah.
And today's sparring was MMA based sparring, right?
Yeah. So got some pretty good rounds. I can't remember who I had done rounds with, but I usually try to go with all the big grapplers like Cam and Riddell and stuff like that. And yeah, they cream me up in that department, like pressing me up against the wall and stuff like that. So yeah.
Man, I came down to CKB. I'm in another country, but I came there just on a holiday, and I dropped in. Back then I had some connection with Dan Hooker. Messaged me, he was training, so I came down and I watched him train for a little while, and I watched the next day I came in and watched a sparring class. Man, it's got a thick level of talent there, man. Like I can't remember how many people were sparring on the day I went in there. I think it was like around 40 people or something, and everyone had like decent skill set, man. It was pretty good like level over there.
Yeah, they're real well drilled, and like everyone kind of, it's like they all have their own style as well, and the experience to back it as well. Like they're all deep kickboxing backgrounds and a lot of overseas fights, that sends them up in the levels quite a bit, and yeah, they've all been in the game for a long time. So yeah, it's heaps of talent.
I guess that's what brought you there, right?
Yeah, no, most definitely. The front runners for New Zealand, at the moment. So I'm only like just grateful to just be a part of it now. And I'm only got a glimpse of it, but yeah, I'll hopefully looking to build a good future with them.
Man, you mentioned that when you were coming up, you didn't know a lot about the people that started up the combat sports and that back in New Zealand. Now you actually get the chance to work with a few, and you have a bit more knowledge of the past, right? Some of the older
yeah. Well, I'm like watching some of the older fights and figure out who used to train with who and how everyone kind of came about and how they all met and came together. And yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. Like I trained under, like when I first started, I trained under Sonny Vanathy, who trained with, who's good friends with like John Wayne Parr and all of them, and he had quite a few kickboxing fights and won a couple King of the Rings. But he was the first guy I fought under, and then I moved on to another local coach in Wellington who was just training a lot more fighters at the time. Sonny was kind of just training just to get by and help out who was around, but he wasn't really looking to send any fighters up to the pros. So I moved on to another gym in Wellington, and they were good. They had my last coach was Ata Whakalelu. He was an awesome coach. He fought King of the Ring quite a few times, and yeah, he gave me a lot of good teachings to help me when I even joined up at City Kickboxing, and kind of took all that with me and added it with some of the stuff I'm learning now. It's all piecing together like really, really well, and yeah. That's kind of like my lineage, I guess. I'm not really part of the league guy, but I guess I am now. But,
yeah, bro, you are. I mean, I've seen you training with Doug and that, and yeah, I'm sure everything gets passed through, bro. So it's good in a way sometimes to have come from another background, because then you get two sides. You get something else coming through other people as well, and you piece it all together, man. Because not everyone's right. Everyone has something to offer, especially in martial arts, right?
Yeah, no, it's mean. Like I've always been real good at like taking whatever like a coach has given me and applied it to a fight like right then and there. Like it was a real crack up when I had fought. I think it was like my first or second fight. Doug on the 8-man, and Doug was just like telling me to throw like this frame and then throwing a jab off it and then throwing the straight right. And I was like doing it, and then he said, "Oh, yeah, now throw the right hand," and then I threw it. I kind of like smiled at myself. I was like, "Oh shit, that worked." And then I ended up putting him away just off that one technique. And I was like, "Fuck!" We got back to the corner. I was like, "Fuck, that worked." And he's like, "Fuck, everything I teach you works. You just got to do it." So I was like, "Oh shit!" And then no, it was a good laugh afterwards. But no, it's good, just putting it together in the present moment. Yeah, pays off.
Yeah, man. Actually, you just reminded me for a second. It's funny in the fight game, right? Sometimes if you have the right coach, they can guide you so well. But how much does that help in terms of a grappling comp, man? Have you been in the grappling comp, man? I've been in one comp with a good Brazilian black belt, and he was just remote controlling me, man. Like everything was like, put your left hand on the right leg, grab the, like just really remote controlling, man. They can really help you to win. It can be the difference sometimes, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I believe so. Just hearing that familiar voice too, takes you back to like being back in the gym, sparring, and you kind of relax a bit better. I think just hearing their voice, it helps me, and I know it can help a lot of other fighters. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. And back to the Wellington, man. So you said you're brought up in Wellington, Upper Hutt, right?
Yeah. Small town, Upper Hutt. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I actually went to Wellington for a course. It was a course in emergency management. So obviously Wellington's like, it's got all these severe weather events and everything around there, right? It's a nice, quiet sort of city, but it's got pretty full on like history and chance of having like earthquakes and tsunamis and these sort of things. Right?
Yeah. Well, in Upper Hutt, it was like you're like living right next to the fault line, so like they always just say like growing up, like, oh, when it hits us, it's going to be huge. So everyone's living in fear when they do get a couple of earthquakes. But nah, there was never any like massive scary ones like the ones in Christchurch. But nah.
Actually, I went to some weather monitoring station thing there, and they were listening for the tremors, and it was like, I don't know, it might have been every couple of minutes there's some small sort of tremor, like measuring on their scale. Obviously, you can't feel it everywhere, but using that equipment, you can feel it. It's crazy, man. Like it's like you said, just sitting on the fault line just waiting. It's like just a waiting game, It's gonna happen one day, but when,
That it's probably moving like the Earth's moving every centimeter every 100 years. So
and that whole city is just sitting on the fault lines, and then the chances also of tsunami coming up onto that area where the city is pretty high as well if one comes that way. So like you said, it's a kind of
and like
dangerous
all
place.
the houses are old as well, and they're all like built on hills. So it's like they're all just going to come sliding down. Like the houses there are so dodgy, and they're all old as, and like people are paying thousands to millions to get some of that property. It's like worth so much.
Yeah,
you're paying so much for a piece of crap, But,
everything's expensive now, bro. Man, so you mentioned that you had a good upbringing. It wasn't like one of those real rough upbringings, but you weren't really brought up in the Maori ways, right?
Nah. So I mean, I know where like my family comes from, and I actually have a lot of cousins and all that down south and all over the place that speak Te Reo Māori. And I grew up just like normal Kiwi living, so I wasn't around like a lot of my heritage, but still like very cultured, like I know a lot about my culture and all the things and just family and all that. I've got a good sense of family and stuff like that. So
you mentioned that your iwi is Tawhana Apnui, is it? How you say it?
Yeah, Te Whānau Apnui. So it's There's actually like heaps of Stirlings out there that I'm always meeting, and they're like we'll kind of like conversate on how we're related. It's out of it. So, there's so many of them. It's just almost too hard to keep track of. But
bro. And well, so do you feel like there's something you could connect with more in the future? Like obviously, it's not something that's over. You can always reconnect with that sort of side if you want to, right?
Yeah, no, most definitely. Because I've always wanted to bring my kids up, in the culture, and I don't want it die out, you know, because that's the thing. Like these days, is the language is kind of dying out. You know, not all Māori speak te reo, you know. So hopefully in the future, you know, I can learn and also bring my children up through that, and just, you know, keep it going through generations so it doesn't, you know, die out. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Actually, I'm actually trying to get Shane Young on the show. Apparently, eventually, I'm going to get him on here. He says he will, but it's just taking a bit of time. I want to talk a bit more about that sort of heritage side, because he's pretty connected with it, right? And he's
he is.
UFC also. He bring a bit of the Maori culture to the UFC in the past, man. Like in the face-offs.
Yeah,
and that,
no,
man.
it's awesome. You know, we need someone to put it out there. So, you know, that's good. Yeah, because a lot of the Americans are like, well, what the hell is this? You know, so. Yeah, I mean, we're a warrior race, so you know, it's perfect for the moment. It's just what it's about. You know?
Exactly, man. And you mentioned that some people think you're a Russian though, bro, because you're a white skin Maori, right? So it's a bit tricky. Everyone's a bit confused,
everyone
right?
thinks I'm like Russian. Yeah, I mean, we had like a couple like foreigners in my old gym, and they're like, "Are you Russian, German?" I was like, "Nah, fuck, I'm Kiwi, man. Like, I'm not European, like not Eastern European, you know." But yeah, I don't know. I think it's my height and build, maybe. But yeah,
Yeah, different
pretty
style.
yeah.
So, man, just to go through when you're starting martial arts, you mentioned something about starting in karate, but not then stopping and not really starting kickboxing until you're a bit older, till you're around was it 18 or 19 or something?
Yeah, well, because I had been doing like kind of like a local kickfit gym. Like I was just like in a school, and they were like a bunch of karate guys they taught a bit of Muay Thai as well. And they I think they trained a few guys up for novice fights, but I was just doing like kind of the kick fit classes there for about a year or so. I kind of had an idea on how to throw like kicks and punches, but never really like sparred or fought. But it wasn't until I had picked it back up again when I was living in Christchurch. I actually went to this one called Academy of Combat. I believe that's where Brad Riddell started, because there was photos of him like real young. You know, I think those were like his very first fights there. I didn't even know who he was. I was just like, they just said, oh, he was a good fighter that was here. And then I think I moved back home at about 19. And then that was when I met Sonny, and I like walked into his gym, and I was like, oh bro, this is I mean, this ain't no school gym, you know, like this is solid. And I had seen like belts all over the wall, and he's actually got like some like fight cards from the archives of like the old Philip Lamb cards with like so him and Israel and Slava and like all these like Kiwi guys on there. And me at the time, I didn't know who they were. I was just like, oh yeah, who are these guys, you know? But I had seen that Sonny had won like all these King of the Rings, and there was posters of them all over the walls. So I started like watching them. I was like, okay, let me just see what this King of the Rings about. And that was when I had seen like Israel. I was like, whoa, who's this guy? You know, and then finding out that he's fighting out of New Zealand, you know, it intrigued me more. And I was just like, whoa, what's this King of the Ring? Is this? And then, you know, I'm just learning about it, and they're like telling me, oh, this is the show, you know, this is the show you want to be on. And New Zealand, we got all the K1 legends fighting out of this event. And then I had watched like, I think it was like 2017. I'm like, you know, researching more about it, and then I watched like my first live 8-man, which was, I think it was Carlos, the one that Carlos first won, which was the 100 kg. And I'm like sitting there like, no fights, you know, just watching like, whoa, you know, this is where I want to. I'd be keen to try out, and I was just wondering how do I get here? Like, what do I have to do to get onto this show? And yeah, just took each fight at a time. You know, I had one novice and just went, nah, stuff this, just get me straight into the real thing.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, just all took off from there. And next minute I had like 6 amateurs, and they threw me in. And yeah, I thought I was the man, you know, and I got found out straight away. And it was good. It was good, like humbling experience, and I definitely think it was something I needed. And yeah, come back way better. So
And
That was
that
kind of how that all come about. Yeah.
that loss you had then, who was that against?
Foa Lamb.
I saw that one
So
online.
He
Yeah.
fought ETK. I think he's living in Australia now. I believe he's at the NTG Fight Fitness.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
Nugget
he
on.
was good.
Nugget up on
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a good fight, and I learned more about myself after that. Because I remember getting hit with a big shot in the first, and I was like, whoa, I was kind of just sleeping in the first round, wondering what the hell was going on, and it started to pick it back up in the second and third. I thought I just edged it, but no, this is how it goes. And yeah, it was all good. I ended up fucking breaking my foot in the second or third round. So even if I had won, I wouldn't have been able to go back out because I was just like a big lump on my foot. So yeah.
And that's what kind of led you to have a bit more time to dedicate to grappling too, right? Because you hurt your foot.
Yeah. So I hurt my foot, and then I'm just kind of sitting around, moping around, and just like, man, what am I gonna do? And my mate just said, "Oh, we should." He took me into a jiu-jitsu gym, and that's when I just started doing that, and kind of started to find my passion in that. I hated it at first because it's like, you're starting all over again and getting smoked by guys that look like nerds, It's like, yeah, but no, it's good. It's good. It was good. Kind of sub thing to do on the side until
man,
get right again.
Build yourself up towards that MMA. But yeah, then you went on obviously to get was it 2020? You won the cruiserweight. Super cruiserweight King of the Ring, 92 kilos, right? And then the next year you went on this year for 100 kilo, right? Heavyweight champ.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's awesome, man. Awesome rise, eh?
Quick time. Yeah, it was good because they kind of like they caught me at the peak, and like all the weights are randomized, So when I saw the 100 kilo, I was like, yes. And I had only just started up at City Kickboxing, so I didn't want to like ask, but I think they asked Doug, and Doug asked me. I was just going to training every day, and I just said, "Oh, yep, I'm interested. If you're willing to train me." And yeah, that's kind of how it all came about. And yeah, I was just real happy to be able to fought for them that quick. And yeah, no,
that's awesome, man. And for the MMA, talking about weights, what sort of weight are you going to target for MMA? What division?
Definitely light heavyweight. Like that's always been like my weight that I've always fought at. I think that's like 93 kilos, 205.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So
sorry, what's your normal weight? Your normal weight that you fight at? Prefer to fight at?
93, yeah. 93 kilos.
That's still, I think the light heavy is a bit heavier than that, right? The actual the top of it's like 102 or something like that, I think. For light heavy.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that division, yeah. Whatever that division is. Yeah.
And you mentioned, light heavy in the UFC. You mentioned going up to that your end goal is to fight in the UFC, right? So that would put you up against Teixeira and Blachowicz at the moment if you were in there, right? Pretty serious competition.
Well, it's like so the old man's division, at the moment it seems like all the guys are quite old, so hopefully add some fresh talent. I know it's kind of gone a bit stale, and I think having some new young guys come in would be good, provided this is like a couple of years, when I've built up a bit of experience. But yeah, I've definitely always had my eye, and I don't doubt myself that I'll get there and I'll get the opportunity, but it's just what I'm going to do with the opportunity, like I want to be the real deal. I don't want to come in on some hype train, but that's why I'm like jumping at any opportunity to fight anyone, like a loss or win. It's gonna like you don't want to get found out in the future. I see all these like young guys, they come in undefeated, they get to the UFC and they think they're all that, and they get to the top and they get found out, and it's like there's no turning back. You're at the pinnacle, and it's only short, you stuff it up and they go downhill. It's almost too much to rebuild at the top, because you've got guys like pretty much everyone there is good enough to take the bout as soon as they get there, you know. It's just a matter of like opportunity and hype around them when they get their chance. But I mean, this is all just from like speculation, me watching and seeing how it all works. But yeah, I think, you know, getting experience is huge, and that's why the boys, I mean, from what I see, their experience carries. You know, they've been in those moments before. They've fought all the top guys. There's nothing you're going to show them that they haven't seen before. You know, they've had their losses. They've rose from back from them, and that's why I think they're just so elite. You know, that it's me, and that's what I kind of want for myself. You know, is that experience and that's so when I do get to the top, I have that composure, and yeah.
Yeah, man, that experience can help a lot. And, you know, a few of those CKB boys that are at the top have been doing this stuff for a long time, right? They built that.
Yeah.
There was a couple of these guys that fought over here before. I've mentioned before, Kai Kara France and Dan Hooker, both fought where I am over in Macau, China. That was like around a decade ago, man. And they're still going. They raised their game along the way. They're at the top level now. So it's good to see. And yeah, put in that hard work, you're going to get there too, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. So that's why I'm just trying to make sure I'm there every day and learning off them. And, you know, it's like, there's nothing you're like missing, you know, it's all there. It's all there for you. You got to put it together yourself and trust the process, I guess. And yeah, like they look after you really well. Yeah, I don't doubt that I'll get there. It's just, what I'm going to do when I get there. So, yeah.
That's it, man. And you mentioned before that you're kind of inspired by, you mentioned Izzy and you mentioned watching Carlos. And then one guy you didn't mention yet in this interview was Conor, man. You're a big Conor McGregor fan in the start, right? He inspired you a bit, right?
Well, yeah, just I think hearing him speak, you know, was awesome when he had first started. Now I think he's just gone like, you know, I think the superstardom's just kind of got to him, you know. He doesn't really need to fight anymore, which like kind of upset me, you know me. But yeah, I think he was awesome, man. On his rise was the shit, you know. I think a lot of people took inspiration from that, but now I think he's gone a bit off the rails. But yeah, like hearing his story and some of the things he was doing, and just proving people wrong in there, I felt I could relate to that. Like, man, this is what I need, you know. And that's what made me kind of just go, you know, stuff it. I'm just gonna fight because I like fighting and I like training. I'm competitive, you know. I don't like doing anything else. So, you know, why not? And yeah, it was after I kept fighting was when I started to realize, you know, I could take this far, you know. So,
what is it that that makes you get up every morning and go and do this sort of thing? Because it's not an easy life, right? You're challenging yourself every day, physically, mentally. Like, what do you think it is that drives you so hard to do this as a professional job?
I always think to myself, you know, like, why am I me? You know, why do I look the way I look? Why do I have the upbringing that I had? You know, what is my purpose? You know, and when you can find that purpose, you know, I kind of made it deeper for myself and wanted to be like one of the best fighters ever, you know, and to be remembered, you know, is another big thing. Like, I think, you know, humans, you know, people just do, you know, they get a job, they have their life, they have their kids, you know, and they die out, and in years to go, they're not going to be remembered, you know. Like, you think of guys like Muhammad Ali, you know, long after he's gone, people are going to remember him. So, you know, I thought, like, anyway, that I could kind of staple my name and some sort of title, some sort of bout, some sort of history, you know, is how I'm going to be remembered in the future and long after I'm gone. So, you know, to some people, they might think that's like a bit too big, you know, you're talking too big for yourself. But, you know, why am I me? You know, what am I doing? Like, there's nothing else better to do. So that's my way of kind of stapling my name in history and to be remembered. You know, I think that's like a bigger cause or is a big reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. And yeah, I'll die trying, you know, so all good.
Yeah, man, that's taking that inspiration from Connor was saying. He was like willing himself to be that great champion that he was back then, just by his pure self-belief, right? And you said before that you grew up with people kind of shutting down dreams a little bit, like you wanted to do this as a profession, whatever, and people shutting it down. So yeah, why not take it in your own hands, bit of self-belief and try and get there, right?
Yeah, I mean, because I've been saying that kind of stuff when I was around all of that, and now that I'm around like guys that are actually doing it, but guys that are living it, you know, it's like
it's a reality,
like,
right?
boost my confidence. It's like this is a reality for you. This can happen for you if you put in the time. You know, you put in the work, and there was like a way bigger like mind opener. It's like, man, this is it. This is I can do this. You know. So
and you can. That's the thing. It's doable. It's not all about like 100% natural talent. What it is mostly about is perseverance. As talking to Lolo Hemuli recently, he said some really talented guys walk in the gym and they just come and they go, or they don't commit enough to be what they could be. They could be amazing. They could be easily world champions. But then you get someone like Ray Sefo, or someone comes in, has a degree of natural talent, but his biggest strength is that he perseveres, man, and he keeps going, and he's the first one at the gym every day, fights on the weekend, comes back on the Monday, you know, like just that sort of perseverance over time gets that skill and that skill level and the ability to compete at that top level.
Yeah. I mean, I've like, you know, there's talent and hard work, but one thing I've always done is like, I've been willing to sacrifice a lot. Like I've been willing to sacrifice like time with different people and other hobbies, and I, you know, try to get my, you know, apartment closer to the gym and or whatever, you know, sold all of my nice things, and just you gotta like sacrifice, you know, because that's gonna get you there. Like some people are like, oh, I don't want to go there because, you know, I'm gonna have to give up my car, or you know, like people hit you with like bullshit excuses like that. It's like, bro, you're never gonna, you know, get there if you're not willing to sacrifice, you know. So I think that's a big one that's helped me, is I've been willing to sacrifice everything, you know, like a lot of stuff, and to get to where I'm at. And I think that's a big thing that people don't think about as well. I mean, I've always said to myself, like, I don't want any like kids or anything until I'm like, you know, solid. I got what I want, or you know, just stuff like that. But
that's smart anyway, man. And so just wondering, do you have to do a side job as well just to get by, bro? Like, what do you do for that, or you make enough money?
Yeah, so I'm like just forklifting, like just kind of forwarding freight and like loading up trucks at a job in all, like East Auckland. It's real good, because the guys there, you know, they're with me, you know, like they're doing what they can to help me as well. Like they let me kind of go when we have training early as in the morning, or because I'm working like afternoon and nights. So you know, because all the pro trainings are during the day, so I need to get to those day trainings, and sometimes you got to get up early. They let me go to that, and they've helped me like adjust my hours so I can make it to some of the evening trainings as well. So I've just been real fortunate to meet a good company, and that helped me out a lot. And I think it's just like, you know, you gotta, when you work, like take your good work ethic to your jobs and stuff. That can help a lot, you know, because then you can get like, you know, your good references and stuff like that, and your peers and your boss, and then they can help you out a bit better. So that's helped me out a lot.
For sure, man, because sometimes it's either one or the other, right? Like you either have you've got to work or you can train. So it's good that you can kind of get someone that helps you work around that, right? Because it's a very difficult schedule to stick to, And then on that, man, I'm interested in like other things that you're kind of integrating. Training now isn't just about getting to the gym and doing pads or sparring or whatever. Now you've got all these other things coming into it, bro. You've got your strength and conditioning, you know, rest, recovery, all these things. Can you talk a bit about what you do for that? Like, what do you do for your strength and conditioning as a first point?
So I got like a guy that's he kind of Well, we actually used to work together when I was living in Christchurch, and he linked. He was a PT. He was training to be a PT back then, and now he's kind of gotten deep, and he's real hard out into the MMA training and stuff like that. And he kind of hit me up to be like one of his first clients. So I started working with him, and he would like, because he was living like in the other South Island, he would just like kind of do all of my programs online and set them up for me. And yeah, he's been awesome. His name's Cody Warnock, Cody Warnock PT SMC. I think this is at on Instagram, but he's helped me out a lot. He would just, I think he trains, or like he gets most of his stuff from Phil Darrow. Is it Phil Darrow? Darrow Strong. I think he trains. That's the guy that trains all the athletes out of ATT over in the States. So I think he does like his online webinars and all that stuff, and then he kind of feeds that to me, and we try stuff out. And yeah, it's good because I can kind of tell him what I don't like or what I do and how I'm feeling, and he just adjusts it all for me, no matter if I'm training hard or off camp. And yeah, and then mostly for like my recovery, I think the biggest one is sleep. You got to get heaps of sleep. That's your number one. Like people going around like doing all these ice baths and all these massage guns and all that, and not realizing that like sleep is the number one, and just stretching and warming up. Like I don't even see people warm up anymore. They just get straight into it. So I think warming up and warming down helped out a lot. I do got a mate that hooks me out with like all this massage equipment and all of that as well. Sharpen recovery. My mate Jack Chin, he gets me like those leg, what are they, like leg compression. It's like they kind of like fill up with air and they compress your legs. I'm not too sure. He's got those, and your kind of portable saunas and massage guns. He gets me to try all of that kind of stuff out, so that always helps too. And then just your regular ice bath here and there, or even just cold showers helps. But yeah,
man, it's an interesting point about the basics, right? Like something as simple as making sure you get a certain amount of sleep every night is pretty incremental before you start worrying about massage guns and things like that.
Yeah. Because I think people, there's like that stigma around it, because like a lot of MMA athletes are sponsored, they get like the stuff and put it out there, and everyone thinks they need it. Like I need that gun, I need that stuff. But honestly, your best weapon is to sleep. If that was my advice for someone, because you'll be surprised how much people train off of like no sleep. And you got to imagine like over the years, you add that up over the years of sparring and all that, and taking knocks to the head, what's that doing to your chin? You got to think about those things as well if you're thinking about having a long career. Like how can I like look after my head, and am I getting enough sleep, and stress, managing my stress, and having a good diet and stuff. So yeah,
man. And just on that, man, like what are your feelings on maintaining that sort of brain health when that's your job, right? Getting punched in the head. Like how does your gym kind of focus on keeping you guys safe as much as possible? Because you have to take in a certain amount of punishment, but it doesn't have to be too intense, right? Depending on
I think like when you had a bit of fights and experience, I guess you kind of know how hard to hit and how to like look after your partner and yourself, but you also get like good work in. I think it's the young, like the guys that haven't had that, they don't really know where to start. They kind of be scared, so they throw harder or stuff. Sometimes I get more scared sparring the new guys than I do with the more elite guys. Because you don't know what's going to come. You don't know if they've got some crazy backhand that's coming out of nowhere or something. So
it's like weird timing, right? You can't pick the timing in that.
Yeah, you got to be careful if they may like you're going to get groin shotted or stomped on the knee. There's so many. I'm more scared to go with those guys.
Yeah.
But I think people got to just look after their heads, and they've had some hard rounds, not go out drinking that night or something. I think about stuff like that all the time. Like, even after I have like hard fights and everyone's celebrating, sometimes I'll just lay off the alcohol, because imagine having a headache of that and the fight yesterday, So I reckon it all adds up, eh? Like, this is just my opinion, but I'm not a doctor or anything, so I don't know, but I'm sure I'm right about some of that.
Yeah, man. And you also touched on nutrition. You said you learned quite a bit off online and that, but you also got someone helping you. Is that right, for nutrition now?
Yeah, my friend back home was doing my nutrition, Josh West, but I've kind of like learned a lot now, so I don't even worry about like having detailed plans all the time. I just try to eat like healthy food and a lot of food. I try to keep my calories high, and yeah, like I've always eaten good. So yeah,
I see the CKBs guys work a lot with Geordie, the fight dietitian. So maybe that's something that'll happen later on in your career as you
most
move up the
definitely,
ranks.
Because making light heavyweight, I want to be like in peak condition, and especially being like proper professional now. You want to get the best. So yeah, it'll be good to hopefully get some work in with them.
Well, and also you mentioned mobility, that you do some mobility work. I think some of the mobility stuff's useful, especially to balance your body out. And that, what do you actually do?
Nothing out of it. I just try to warm up my shoulders there, because I got like really wide shoulders, so like I find it hard to sleep on my side at night. So I got to like make sure I'm moving them around, a lot of circulations and contractions, and just breathing as well, like breathing while you're doing it, because sometimes people hold their breath, and I don't think that's good. I think if you can like get some good breathing while you're with the shoulder movement, it helps. So yeah.
Yeah, man, with the shoulders, pay attention, man. I've had a bad shoulder for about 15 years just from stand-up fighting. It's like it's ruined, man. I think it's about posture and getting the shoulders to, like, because when you're fighting, everything kind of extension, and you got your shoulders coming forward, so it can put your shoulders out and then cause other problems. So yeah, it's good to do that balance work with your shoulders, man. Work the back a bit more and stuff, which you're probably doing in your strength and conditioning anyway.
Yeah, no, most definitely.
And you mentioned about breathing too. That I see the CKB lads are doing a lot of different work with one of the guys about breathing, right? Like breath holding, etc. You know anything about that one?
Yeah, they were working with Dave Wood.
Yeah, that's right.
I only worked with him for a little bit, leading into that second King of the Ring. He just helped me like tell me like the importance of like your respiratory system and cardio, like two different things, and you want to train that as well. Like you want to train your respiratory system, and you get harder into the science of it all, like. But I think it helped me, because he was just telling me like, if you can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth in the middle of a fight, create a bit of space and just take the time to get those breaths in, you can get like a bit of clarity in the ring. And I tried it. I was like consciously doing it when I was fighting. Like every time, like I felt like a bit of panic. Just breathing through the nose and then out through the mouth. You just feel so much more calmer. You can see. It feels like it slows down time. And you can kind of get a better look at what's in front of you. You see some guys like they have shit breathing and they're like fighting and they get like red. It's like panic goes, and then they just start swinging, they hold their breath and get hit with that one shot and their brain just goes flat, and it's just shit breathing. I think that's a huge one that people are overlooking. And he started telling me to like, just watch these guys when they finish in the corner, and they'll go back and they're getting the rundown from the coaches and whatnot, and these coaches are saying stuff and they're going in the ear and out the other. Like they don't even care about what the coach has to say. They're just trying to catch a rest. They'd like, that's just from me watching. It looks like they're not even listening. because their breathing's all over the place. I just, you know, they haven't even taken like 3 deep breaths, you know, in through the nose, out through the mouth. It just slows you down, you know. My last coach used to tell me to do that, and they used to help me heaps. And I'd be able to like relay back to him what he told me as well in the rounds. And yeah, I was already doing it, but it made so much sense when he had told me about all of this stuff. And yeah, I think that's a big one that people are overlooking as the breath work.
Yeah. I was listening to a podcast by the fight dietitian, actually talking with him about breathing recently. And they were talking about how Brad Riddell's right into it, like paying a lot of attention to that. And if you watch him fight, even in his last fight, like he really maintains a high intensity. Doesn't seem to falter at all during the whole time. And I believe that from what Geordie was saying, I think a lot of it's to do with his breath work, and he's been working on that to be able to maintain that high work rate through the breathing, right?
Yeah. Well, I noticed they had like real like solid exchanges, was real explosive, like when they would go, and then like the breathing in between was like real good, and I was able to go again and again and again, like real fast exchanges. Like I think that was probably like one of the best striking matches I've seen in a long time, you know, where it was real technical, but it was like kind of scrappy and brawly at the same time. And it was like they were picking their moments like really well. I think that helps hard out. You can change those tempos, you know, really well, and have those pauses and then go again. And it's not like they're not like pushing their punches. The punches are like coming back like real fast. It looks real clean and sharp. I really like that fight. It was a good fight.
Yeah, amazing fight, man. Shame about the outcome for your guy, for Brad.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a great high level striking fight, right? So, man, so what's your immediate plans for competing and then for the future, man?
I'm trying to get like MMA and every day, you know. I think for sure I want to fight MMA straight away, hopefully going to next year or just whenever, you know. I don't really care who it is. I'm just keen to get the feel for it. And I've had to put off of MMA fights so many times. You know, I just need to get in there now and get a feel for it. So yeah, that's no like future plans or anything right now. It's just getting these fights in and training. It's just like my main focus right now. I mean, maybe if like big kickboxing fight comes overseas, but I'm not really interested in fighting any local kickboxing shows right now. Mainly, I just want to focus on MMA.
Are there any particular like promotions that you'd be targeting for MMA?
I think in New Zealand, the big one is Shuriken, Shuriken's fight show. I would like to fight on that show.
I actually watched one Shuriken fight show, and I've only been in New Zealand twice, and it happened to be a show when I was down there, so I went and watched it. It was somewhere around Auckland. I can't remember the exact place.
Yeah. That's a big local MMA show. So they get an awesome turnout. You know, I went to like their last one, and yeah, it's a different energy, the cage, and I just want to feel that, you know. So I think that would be like an awesome place to get a fight on. And then I think there's one in Dunedin XFC. I don't mind getting on that. But yeah, it'll probably have to be.
Do you know Gareth Ely? Have you heard of him before? Gareth Ely? Yeah, he was down there with a couple of his guys. So he told me it was on, so I went to watch. It was good timing, actually.
Yeah. I'd like to go on that show as well. So
a few of the Kiwi lads also get over to Australia, right, and compete in some of the shows there in the past. So another option would be over there. Yeah.
I've actually never left New Zealand before as well, so I've always wanted to fight in Oz so many times. That's probably where I'm looking to make a breakout to next year as well. Hopefully, fight in Australia. So yeah,
man. I think you got to look at that, because you like talking to Doug the other day. That was one of the things he's really grateful for, was being able to travel around the world and compete.
Yeah.
You know, you get to see new things and travel around, meet new great people and see amazing countries. So that's a good path, man, to start to get out.
Oh man, I want that for myself. This COVID stuff is like hold to me, you know. it's unfortunate, but yeah, I know it's coming. So yeah, I can't wait.
And you mentioned you want to fight an American too, that different energy. So that'll happen
Yeah,
one day.
yeah. I think yeah, I was thinking like most of them. I was thinking yeah, some of them are corny, you know, but soft. I reckon you just run through them. It'd be easy. Even just like the banter, you know, it'd be good. They
Yeah.
always got some good banter. So yeah. No, they're hard case there.
One of my good friends over here is American. He's a wrestler. He's a wanker. So yeah, I think there are a few of them around like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I'd love to fight the Americans. It'd be good.
Yeah, man. All right, man. So I think I've probably kept you for enough time, man. Just but it's been good to have a chat. Good to hear a bit more detail about your background, man. And you know, it's good to hear about what you've done so far, and excited for your future, man. And we'll be paying attention. Try and catch up with you when you get into the first MMA fights, man, and see how you're doing.
Yeah, no worries, man. Thank you for this.
Cool, man. Thanks for your time, man. I appreciate it.
See you, brother. Cheers.